had done anything. So for that was a big deal. I mean, you know. And then the following year, car model, I raced. There was a F1 race at Checkered Flag Raceway in Inglewood. I think it's we always call it Arborvitae because that's the street it was located on. And in that race, that was probably my beginning to feel I could compete somewhat. Because I qualified for the race for the semi-main, and I finished 5th. You need to finish 4th to move up to the main.
2 more heats left.
And the guy that edged me out,
And
I mean, he beat me easily, but the guy that came in 4th was Doug Henline. So he came in 4th, he moved up to the main, he won the main. And that was the beginning where he won every F1 race after that. Every inline F1 race, there were I think 3 or 4 in total. He won them all. And then when Engelweiners came in, the F1 racing, they stopped doing it. So that was kind of, I always remember that race for that reason. It was my first time I qualified for the race, you know. And then, but for me, probably the one race I always remember the most was the first Engelweiner race. And that one was just a case of my being in the right place at the right time.
The right part.
Yeah, I just happened to see Gene Hustings' car that week of the race, and like Stubbe and Sucres and Terry Schmidt, I rushed home and just put together what I can remember what it looked like. And I built a car kind of like what Gene's was, but a little bit different. But anyway, first Engelweiner ever built. It had no idea what it was going to do. And luckily, here's the timing of it. Lee Hines had wound me an armature for a motor for that race, and it ended up being probably by far the best motor I ever had. It was what we call a long stack. It had a lot of laminations on it. When Lee gave it to me, it was already balanced, and I looked at it, and 3 poles, and only one pole had a very, very shallow drill hole in it for balancing, dynamic balance. I said, Lee, man, this is perfect motor. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. So anyway, I put it in the motor because the chassis I built, the motor can was soldered to the chassis. I'd never done that before. So anyway, I put it in there and then, took it to track and tried it out, and wow, what a great motor. That motor was, yeah.
Is that way that you made that article, how to build the Engelweiner?
Well, no, that was after, okay? Yeah. So anyway, in the race, things were going my way. I wasn't one of the good racers, so I was just like your average local raceway, hotshot, right? All the raceways in those days, and literally thousands of them across the country, every raceway had this local hotshot or two, right? And over the years, all these hotshots that used to hang out at a raceway until maybe they, somebody else come in and beat them, right? But there are thousands of them across the country, and I just, I just happened to be one of those guys. Okay, but so I qualified 3rd for that race for Schmidt. I was in the main event because only the top 4 qualified for the main event. So lucky for me, I didn't have to work my way up, right? And in the race, I I was leading actually the first heat, and I think it just got to me. It was wasn't used to the pressure or the, everybody, the crowd and whatever. And so I started crashing, and just after that wasn't able to really get into the race. But luckily I still finished 4th, so that wasn't bad. And it's funny, after that race, suddenly I was no longer just this local guy. People would talk to me that never talked to me before. It's one of those things. Well, anyway, shortly after that, one of the guys that worked for Carmel Magazine, one of the writers, he used to hang out at Rolling Hills Raceway. And so he's the one that says, hey, Keith, why don't we do a scratch building article on an Engelweiner? So before I knew it, here we are doing this scratch building article. So again, it's just a matter of my being in the right place at the right time. But
That's F8 this thing.
But through all that period, it was only like 3 years that I was
Brian,
really involved with
222.
it.
Phil,
As most of the
221.
guys were.
Paul, 220.
Because we were all about the same
Anderson,
age. We
middle,
were all in our late
217.
teens, early 20s. So most of us were either going to go off to college, or some got drafted into the military because of the Vietnam War at that time, right? Or maybe getting married and starting families, whatever. So anyway,
Let's go back and look at the colors.
shortly after, I say 69, you started seeing guys, top racers, disappear. They no longer were racing because they didn't have the time or had other interests.
Phil's on black.
And that was kind of
Ooh, that's
the
dangerous.
ending of that period.
So the leaders
So when we look
are
back at
purple and black.